Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are here today, Karmic Dynasty, Elmore the Universal Humanitarian, and Ramtef Web. Welcome. Now, at this time, excuse me, let me get my banner straight. Also, I did not do that right there. I did not. Apologies. Empress Lulu is here with us as well.
Hi.
All right. So I would Ramutef Queb, are you available? Now, right quick, Ramutef Queb is traveling, so he is here with us in the capacity to which he is able to be this evening. So we will be checking in and out with him. And right now, I'm gonna check in with him and see if he's available for his intro. If not, we'll work our way around the panel and come back and see about Siba Ramutef Queb. Are you available at this time? Elmore, how about you? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Peace.
What up, world? It's your boy Elmore, Universal Humanitarian. You already know. And here with the God and Goddesses. Come here, drop a little knowledge about astrology today. Stay tuned.
And checking in with Ramutef Queb as I go into the comment section. From the comments, we got Time Talk, peace and power to the dynasty, peace and power to you. And we have Cody D. Martinez Jefferson here with us. And hey, Cody. And Young Empress, he's speaking to you. And peace, brother. Peace to the brothers. So at this time, I am Ramutef. Is that you chiming in?
Yes, Panatapa, Uncle Sajid, Uncle Justin, Ubenefi Panabu, Haru, Maati to everyone. Anuk Ramatef Queb, I'm Ramatef Queb. I'm a practitioner of divinations. You can find me on ma'atraya.org. You can also find me on Facebook, Ramatef Queb, and on Instagram, Ramatef_Queb. And again, my apologies, everybody. I will be in and out, but I will try my best to stay tuned in.
Gratitude. Next, we have Empress Lulu here in her capacity today. She is also known as Moon Fox. So at this time, she will be speaking with you all. And we will also, as part of her introduction, I will be sharing her info screens for her Moon Fox shop. And her father, her dad, is her speaker. So he's going to introduce you all to her and what she does. So Empress Lulu, if you would at this time. You can go ahead and say hi to everybody.
Hi, I'm Empress Lulu.
And here is more of her intro. Stand by.
At the Moonfox shop, you will spot new products launching as Moonfox creates them, as well as new products from her friendly merchant club. Join the Moonfox Merchant Club today and have your products listed in Moonfox shop. Everyone comes here to shop for their phases in their life. Which Frosty product will you add to your cart? Moonfox Tooth Care or her Perfect Vanilla Extract? Or stock up on her other products? Browse and shop. Also join the Moonfox email club for promos, events, and more. And always have a Moonfox kind of day. Thank you.
And apologies, I did not mute my mic. I'm over here working, running. And I am here in my Karmic Dynasty capacity. And we are here to share the Astrology Resurgence. Ramutef Queb, Elmore, and myself, we have worked together several times behind the scenes and on camera to you all, whether we were here. I think this Astrology Resurgence is our first appearance, all three of us together. Is that right? Just the three of us. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So we
That
work
is right.
together. Okay, amongst each other and behind the scenes and on camera. This is our first time in this series coming at you. So episode 1, if you missed it, the link is in the description below. Also, we're going to do a quick recap right now for anyone who missed part 1, and then which was also only just the intro. This evening starts the meat and potatoes of the Astrology Resurgence series, Transits and Deities. So right now, I know Ramotef Queb wanted to speak on the sixth sense a little more, and possibly also the seventh sense, eighth sense, ninth sense, because there is this misnomer that we only have 5 senses. Ramotef Queb, are you speaking on that right now, or am I redirecting everyone to part 1 and they can check it out themselves?
Yeah, redirect everybody to part 1, but just to be clear, so there's a thing called our head, right? All of our senses that we believe, our 5 senses, is all in our head. We also have a 6th sense that we're not aware of. That's also a different type of body part. I will definitely say in the next series I will expand on that more, but for now, the first part 1 was on signs and constellations, and then just as a reminder to the people, signs are markings, as we displayed in the what you call that, the PowerPoint. The first image that was shown was, markings from the divination system known as the Odus of Ifa, or, in other language, Mera de Lagoon, etc., etc. Signs are codes, binary codes. Constellations are a group of stars. When we talking about those particular group of stars, somehow, some way, we were taught that, there's lines that connect them all. But if you look at them by themselves as an image with your own eyes, you will see something completely different than what was depicted as the zodiac. But the zodiacs give it more of a identification mark, like a sigil, as we explained what symbols were as well. And this particular part 2, we're going to talk about what transits are and what people believe. Some people don't know what transits are. Most only know, again, when it comes to dealing with astrology, majority of people on this planet only know their sun sign. They have no clue about their rising sign, nor their moon, or any other planetary bodies that's within them. Well, today, people, we're going to talk about those planetary bodies so you can get very familiar in this particular realm.
Gratitude. Also, now, for everyone, just so you know, the panel has prepared for some time in this series to be speaking more on time and patterns. And we have been suggested by the audience. So again, comment on the video, share with one of us panelists your feedback, and we take it very seriously. We will include it in the series in the placement necessary. So we have been suggested to watch the movie 222, as in the time 222. Right now, I'm sharing the intro to that video, to that movie, so you can watch it yourself. Just the intro here so far this evening is what I'm sharing, and anything more, we will introduce it back in as necessary. So watch these intro right quick for this movie. You see the time? This is not a time up above here. This is actually the name of the movie. So right here. Okay. Peace.
When you fly above New York at night, it's like you're looking down at millions of stars. And each star could be the life of a person who calls this great city home. My dad told me that people have always looked at the patterns of the stars to predict what was going to happen in their lives. And if you could understand those patterns, you'd be able to know what was going to happen before anyone else did. The last time we saw each other, he told me that each star's light has taken decades to reach us, and how it always burns brightest right before it dies.
Now, as I have watched this movie already, it was a great movie. This is not about to turn into a movie review right now. The patterns and the stars that were talked about right there are very important as we continue through this series to have knowledge of. Also, the awareness of the stars that we're seeing, each star, it takes a few decades at least for that light and signal from that star to reach our visual. So in a conversation I was having with Ramutef Queb, because that intro alone had me stop. I stopped and thought and I pondered, and I promise when I can make a meet a duh, I'll be straight. I'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. So Ramutef Queb. So later in the movie, what I share with Ramutef, because I watched the movie after that intro I watched in that moment, that first day, I actually watched the movie like 2 days later. And in the movie, they even said what I said. The stars, which helps my point that I'm going to get to, y'all, on how this whole astrology thing that y'all working with, most of y'all, is wrong. It's wrong. The stars, they got it all wrong. The constellations they telling y'all, it's wrong. Now, the stars, as I showed with Ramutef Queb, they take decades to reach us visually. The message from the stars actually means that that's at least a 30-year-old message. What we're seeing in the stars, it happened at least 30 years ago. If it takes decades for that signal message to reach us here visually. Also, I share with Ramutef Queb that I know the intelligence that comes from the stars has enough knowledge, knowing to know that it's going to take 30 years or so for it to reach us. So the advancement level of the source of that star is enough to send us the message to where when it gets to us, it's actually on time. Some would say, so to speak. So that's my spiel on that before we move into the presentation. And I know Ramutef Queb may speak on that. He also wanted to speak on the seasons to finish the recap for part 1. And he was referencing the New Year's video on Karmic Dynasty. So for more information on that, go to Karmic Dynasty. And this just was the so-called New Year's January. So the video's not that far back in the archives. Go check it out. Ramutef Queb, you got something for us right now?
So yeah, so that I seen it the day that we were given the how you would say that
Suggestion,
introduction of it, right?
introduction.
And I want to thank the brother for actually giving me something to watch, right? Because I was
That
bored. I
was
ain't gonna
E.
lie, I needed
Look,
something. I
this him
appreciate
right
that.
here. This was speaking peace and love from his YouTube channel. E. Claybrook sent us that movie suggestion for the
I
series.
appreciate you for
After
that, brother. So when you think about it, right? They're talking about 30 years, and then their main source of tool, as everybody and mostly in the world is acclimated to, is the term Western, right? So they tell you, we all know now that, well, some people knew, some people didn't, but at the same time, that energy that we're speaking of that reaches us, it's that same type of energy that is dealing with the degrees, right? Because everything is placed in a 30 degree part thing, not understanding that those 30 degrees are the calculation of what is known as sidereal. So most people are not aware what sidereal is. Sidereal calculation is the will. there's 3 parts, and I know we're not supposed to talk about time, but I'm just gonna get into it jet fast real quick. So we all who know
You better talk about
alchemy
that
or
time, brother. I don't know who told you when you're supposed to get it done.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So you have lunar, solar, sidereal. A lot of people are mistaking sidereal for, you know, either dealing with Cyrus or dealing with other particular star set alignments. Sidereal deals with what is known as the deacons. Each deacon rises and falls for 10 days. In the east they rise, and there's another set that descends in the west, or basically towards the south. These are the markings of that 30 degrees. Each one of them is 10 degrees. So when you start to look at the calculations for a Western chart, we all know that it's all set to 30 degrees. All 12 signs are set to 30 degrees. But it's not those particular signs / zodiacs or constellations that are the 30 degrees. No, it's these particular stars known as, let's say, for instance, like Hydra's and a couple other ones. These are those stars, but that they were cut in a sense. So, for example, when they're talking about that 30-year segment, understand that the westernized system is a version of yourself that was literally 30 years ago. Every time you do a chart, it's dealing with a person's psyche. And when we deal with a person's psyche and dealing with that particular mindset of something that's 30 years ago, when we do certain readings and things of that nature, we're keeping an individual's mindset trapped in a being that basically was not there, unless you know you're 30 plus now in a sense. But if you're not in your 30s and you're getting these readings done, just know that you're about to live a life that was in the past. And I stated in the part 1, time that we know when it comes to dealing with this clockwise, counterclockwise, time will always flow clockwise. Our consciousness flows counterclockwise. So when we're matching with the flow of time, we're always going against time, not with it, always against it. Not only that we're going against it, we're also living a life that was basically dead in a sense 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So remember with that last sentence he said, last few, when you watch that movie 222, I'm not gonna give up the what I'm not gonna put in no spoiler alert. I'm not spoiling the movie. However y'all say it, phrase it. I'm not gonna tell y'all the movie, but be mindful of that 30-year ago stuff. He's just talking stuff. No disrespect stuff. Speaking of no disrespect, we are also streaming today live on Facebook and YouTube. Abdiel Ben Levi El, which is he is the emperor of the Karmic Dynasty channel. And so he is aware that the 3 of us, El Moore and Ramutef and myself, are streaming to his channel tonight. So I appreciate him giving the space on his YouTube channel for us to get this message out to more people. That channel is called Tribe Up 777999. So we are also streaming on my Facebook page, Joy Ishram. Joy Ishram. We are also streaming live to El Moore, the Universal Humanitarian Facebook page. We're streaming live. He said, he did, y'all. I seen him through the hands up. Yes, his channel, he is representing over here with us 3. And my Facebook group, Karma Did What? And also my YouTube channel, Karmic Dynasty, and my Twitter account, MKDTNT. So thank you and gratitude to everyone for tuning in, commenting, sharing the video, liking the video, and subscribing to the platforms. We appreciate you all. Now, so right now we are going into the meat and potatoes of this presentation. We are looking into right now, starting with information on one of the sources that I've used for part of my presentation. I shared this briefly in part one for those of you who want to look over some things while we were working on other things. The Almagest, 2nd century Greek language, mathematical and astronomical treatise on the apparent motions of the stars and planetary paths, written by Claudius Ptolemy, and one of the most influential scientific texts of all time, it is called. It's canonized a geocentric model of the universe that was accepted for more than 1,200 years from its origin in Hellenistic Alexandria, in the medieval Byzantine and Islamic worlds, and in West Europe through the Middle Ages and early Renaissance until Copernicus, how we say that name? Okay. Copernicus. Okay. It is also a key source of info about ancient Greek astronomy. So, ancient Greek astronomy and all these other things, I don't see where this text, which most of y'all who follow astrology are following the information from these sources. I don't see none of them sources that's right now representing us, seriously. And if you claim in one of these resources right here, this book says you a lie. Your people in your world, if honey, let me speak specifically. If you're skin folk and you're claiming it, they ain't talking about you. But y'all using their resources though to help shape your life. Cut it out. Moving forward. This is Claudius Ptolemy. He was a Greek mathematician, astronomer, geographer, and astrologer. He lived in the city of Alexandria in the Roman province of Egypt. Now there goes some of us can claim a role to Egypt. But under the rule of the Roman Empire, he was also a Roman citizen, cited Greek philosophers, and used Babylonian observations and Babylonian lunar theory. So right now, looking for feedback from the panel, and we actually gonna look at these planets and what they represent other than what most of you may know. Feedback from the panel. Okay. Elmore?
Yo, you want me to talk about the sun?
Sure. Also, could you you mentioned the word sigil before we got started?
Oh yeah, all the planets, which are called well, signs for the planet, which are called glyphs, right? They hold energetic signatures, which are called sigils, and they hold power containing to each planet, specific planet. And the sigils mean different things. Like for example, the circle with the dot in the middle means sun. So when you if you make like a symbol out of split the sun in half, and you can make like a whole symbol out of this and make a representation of an energy signature where it can represent the sun. So we can make our own design our own energy signature for the sun. You know what I'm saying? If it's not correct, if it's correct, we just leave it how it is. But the sun represent your self expression, your self identity, your strength, royalty, loyalty. Uh, to me, it represents your energy because with a good sun, you have high energy, and a bad sun, you probably have low energy or low drive or low ambition. And the sun is kind of like synonymous with the moon, but opposite. And Jesus would be considered the sun, Ra. And let me see who else the sun. Shango and Dambali. And who else? Let me see. There's a couple more. The sun is considered one of the most important planets on the chart to me, because that lead the way Plus the ascendant and others. But to me, when I read a chart, I look at the sun first and what house and what degree is in. Yep.
Okay. And for me, so the sun, the I'm looking at it as this outer is, hold on, I'm not even on the screen. This out here represents the zodiac wheel itself or the earth. And then this dot in here would be the center. I also, we are here speaking also on different types of astrology, and I know Ramutef covered fairly well, and we will continue to cover throughout this series, what some of you may call Egypt knowledge or Commission, Kemet, Tamari. And so we are, which is what he covered is right here when he was covering the temple of Dendera. So also there is this teachings and learnings of Ra when we look at the sun glyph or sigil, as Elmore has already mentioned. Peace, Kai Creatress. Glad you are here, BFF. From her YouTube channel. Now, and also when it comes to symbols, for those who don't know, when or unaware, or if you know, again, share the message, pass it along. The curves, when it is rounded or curved, it represents feminine energy. And when it has straight lines, it represents masculine. In part one, Ramutef, Queb, and Elmore mentioned, what were they mentioning? The sun being, what was y'all saying, like how the sun represents the male energy in most forms of astrology, and the moon always represents the feminine, but actually the sun glyph, as we see, is a curve.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think Ron Matep, he was talking about that in the first presentation, but I come to the understanding too that the sun really masculine and the moon. I'm gonna say the sun really feminine, and the moon really masculine. But that's a whole nother section of its own. But yeah,
Ain't it?
because
Now,
the ancient Sumerians back in the old time looked at it as a feminine aspect. It's until modern time where they made it masculine. Like I said last presentation, some inverted the whole system, like made everything backwards. Just like how the Bible backwards and all that. Somehow some got inverted in the system, and we're trying to figure that out now. Hopefully, we find out soon.
yes, now finding out soon, and how symbols and signs are very important. I'm a symbol and sign type person. And right now, before I get started, I would like for everyone to know, as I exclaim on Karmic Dynasty, I'm putting up this parental advisory right now. Do not get it twisted and think just because my grandchild is here, she in the room with her 8-year-old self, that it ain't gonna be no explicit content as you may perceive it. So don't get misled, as this astrology has misled some of you. You be the guide on your child or the child you're taking care of. You be the guide. Don't let Karmic Dynasty, it ain't even happening, and Empress Lulu, we not gonna be your guide. And actually, this is I'm speaking on behalf of all on me. This ain't got nothing to do with the rest of the panel, Elmore or Ramutef Webb. What I'm about to say, which is why I put up the explicit content parental advisory. Now, being a symbol person, to me, all day long, let me get Ramutef Webb name off of here. All day long, to me, this look like a breast and a nipple. Feminine. Don't play with me. Now, I done already pulled my breast out on one broadcast, so I'm not pulling it out today. And I didn't show my nipple, and I ain't showing, but y'all grown asses know what I'm talking about. Period. Also, I'd like to say we share this platform. We share this studio space with the education channels, and I purposely have not shared part one. I'm not sharing this astrology resurgence series on the educational channels. For y'all people with parental advisories, you don't like parental advisories, we got some educational channels in the studio. So I'm not going to name them because I ain't going to link them to today. But go through the Karmic Dynasty archives. You'll know who they are. Check it out. Go over there if you want some educational and some clean stuff. We ain't clean today. Y'all know I don't hold back. Now, part one, if you don't want to hear me, go watch part one. When Ramutef and Elmore warmed y'all up for today and what's to come. I'm in here whoop asses. Quit following Western astrology. Go ahead, Elmore. I'm gonna breathe.
Yeah, I just want to get back on the sun. I forgot about
the breast and the nipple.
Speak a little astrotheology for a minute. According to the sun in the Bible, in many stories of the sun, but one story is the story of Samson, which of course got sun in his name, Samson, and the 7 dreadlocks, which represent the 7 planets the sun transit through. A transit, it's according around, because the sun transit around every planet. But yeah, the 7 lock represent the 7 planets, and Samson represent the sun. Yeah, and of course Jesus Christ represents the sun.
And Ramutef Kweb, you have something to share, or Elmore more to share before we move forward to the moon glyph.
Just dealing with that the sun glyph, right? So, the most oldest and written spoken word in all time was this particular symbol. And then going back into Kemetic studies, in a sense, we're talking about the deity known as Ra. This deity is what I'm talking about when it comes to the broadcast. This is the reason why I called it transits and deities. So these planets that we are about to discuss, just know them as deities, because we're going in my fantasy mind for a little bit. Deities is the word for each and every one of these planets. So if we can in the panel, if you're okay with it, instead of calling them planets, let's just call them deities. Give the expression of certain deities, because we know at this point in age, we should know by now that a lot of the deities, either if it's African, Greek, it don't matter what it is, these are their representations. These are their true representations. When it comes to dealing with the sun, sun is all powerful, all knowing. It's the most vital energy that gives birth. And then, like I was discussing the first part one, when I was giving you my hint to finding out that the sun is a feminine energy, or it's feminine. The best way to find out is looking in the story of the Japanese god known as Itsunagi, and his 2 children that he wiped from his eye. One was a female, which is a Masayatsu, and you have the moon, which is Totsuyomi. When it comes to the sun, it's telling you right there it's a woman. When it comes to the moon, it's telling you it's a man. When you go to the Kemetic side, you look at who are the moon deities. The moon deity is either between Khonsu, or more so Khonsu, but Jehudi. Then when you get to the sun, the only deity that you know of is Ra. Who is the daughter of Ra? Sekhmet. Sekhmet is that sun. Why do I say that? Because when you start to learn about the Pleiades, you understand about the 7 Pleiades sisters and things of that nature, or the Heharu sisters or Hathor sisters, things of that nature. When you look, their placement is above Taurus, basically. It's in the constellation of Taurus. You'll see the stars, and they all have a distinct color. Those distinct colors are like what? The chakras that we know of today. But one's missing. Which one is missing? It's the orange one. And then, sometimes we look at our sun as black because we understand it's black now. But that itself is the deity known as Sekhmet. And then you have Heharu, you have Aset, you have all these other feminine energies that all represent these particular stars. If you want to know more information, they disguise them as what? the Daughters of Atlas. And guess who's having a movie about the Daughters of Atlas? Shazam. I'm just giving that in, further details, but I'm gonna close off real quick because I gotta figure out if this person's home or not.
Yeah, and back to the sun glyph. The circle. The circle mean Holy Spirit or spirit or seed or essence, and representing the mind and the intellect according to the circle on the sun. And that's it. That's all I had. That's on the sun.
Peace, peace, peace. Now we're going forward to the moon.
Before we
With
begin, um, just
yes.
as I stated in the last broadcast when we started dealing with these um symbols, right? And when it comes to that circle, remember what I was saying in the last part, the circle represents the soul. The crescent or curve, in a sense, represents the spirit. And then anything that's a line or a cross or a crucifix represents matter. I just want to throw that in there real quick.
Okay, I appreciate that, bro. Because I read according to Western,
We
but
read accordingly.
I know it's everything like vice versa, really.
And we all here to share collectively. And I appreciate us all being here. So now we're moving forward to the moon. The moon is said to represent emotional security, mothers, and feminine energy. So we've already spoke on this, the in relation to the sun and the moon the sun comparison, and this feminine and masculine and or not qualities. And the moon tied in. So we briefly already discussed the moon. Now,
Hi.
specifically, Kai Creator, she says hi. Specifically, what do we need to say about the moon from the panel?
So right quick, when we're dealing with that moon, right? So again, I was going back to the descriptions. The circle represents the soul, right? The curves represents the spirit. So when you look at the display images that you see, they have those particular markings when it comes to the traveling of the moon. The only two times when this moon really deals with the soul is dealing with the new moon and the full moon as we know it. Every other moon deals with spirit.
Right.
And the
Well, I'm just gonna
waxing moon is between the new moon and the full moon that Ramatev spoke of. Elmore?
right. I'm just gonna speak about the basic. The moon rep, governs the sign of Cancer, and Cancer governs the fourth house, and the moon represent the body. Actually, according to some chart, and, the moon represent the mind, the mental processing capabilities, and the moon could represent family and comfortability and subconscious too. And moon, it could represent women. I think this is my opinion. Even though it is vice versa, it worked because of collective conscious. Like whatever we had, a percentage of people agree upon, that what reality will respond to. So even though it might be vice versa, it's still what the universe is sending out to us. So it could still represent women or the feminine energy, and it's transit sign every 2.5 days. I think. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. From where I'm at, the crescent represents reception, receiving. It represents the mother and feminine energy in general. Both our inner child and inner mother is responsive, receptive, and reflective. And it also represents our spontaneous and intellectual responses. And that's us covering on the moon. Any feedback from the panel before we move forward while looking at these moon phases? All right, so right now we're going to be looking at Mercury. Ramutef Queb has mentioned the deity of Mercury, and right now we're going to look into. I'm going to look at the glyphs of Mercury as well. So here, what I'm sharing is in my study of this. Now, I'm going to tell you briefly how I got to even this whole presentation, the origins of it. I got a drawing here to share. Here. So, my mother was an astrology student of her own. She's self-taught. And at the time, again, when I came into the knowledge of astrology, she had already transitioned. She transitioned. So I went to study astrology on my own. I was at the part, I had actually got me a birth chart and was studying my chart. And all of the knowledge, most of what we're sharing today, I learned. And the trigger was this glyph right here, which is Jupiter. These are my notes from that day that I was studying. Jupiter. And I was like, this looks like a 4. Hold on, a 2. And then again with Saturn, I seen a 5 here. So on and so forth. And this 3. Okay, so that's what got me started. And I was like, do all the glyphs look like have a number in them? And so I was looking and looking. And then I noticed like how some of the glyphs look the same. All you got to do is turn them upside down. So I started studying the glyphs, turning them upside down, the right side, and moving them. And then I came across all the other information called a rabbit hole that got us here where we're at today. So back to this glyph for Mercury. Here with Mercury, we see, as we mentioned, a curve, a crescent here, and the circle, and we already addressed what those were. And also here we have straight lines. So according to what I have shared, the Mercury represents both feminine and masculine energies, just from the straight lines and curvatures here. Also, so I have said that here the feminine energy is above the masculine energy. I also address how this cross represents the church, and in my study, the circle represents the earth. So here is how at one time the church was not yet in this prominent status, which now we see here sits and rules the earth. The church, along with the astrology we're mentioning today, actually rules what you all are learning and you would call astrology. So for those people who say they're not religious, such as Christianity or Islam or Buddha or any other type of religion, you're actually, if you with following astrology, that is your religion. As Ramutef Queb has already shared with on the Astrology Resurgence and in other areas of his presentations, time is the biggest religion. And in this astrology trap that they put you in, if you're following Western astrology, you are in that religion alone of time. Because you're allowing, again, people like Ptolemy tell you your when you were born, which puts you in a day, a month, a year, which is also ruled by their calendar, which is named for such people like Julius Caesar in July and Augustus Caesar for August. And you're just allowing all of this rulership from a man's mind to take control of you and tell you what time is. It's actually time for people, for us to let go of religions. People want to poke fingers at Christianity and Islam and Buddha, all this other stuff. No, point a finger at yourself for being caught up in the biggest religion of all time, which is time. Pull back. Another thing I'm going to touch on right quick. There are some people who actually get tattoos according to the zodiac, according to astrology. And right now, today, if you not heard me say it, those tattoos, these glyphs, they change. And that's something we're going to look at real soon here. Some of these glyphs, they are man-made, which means they're subject to change, and they have. And I'm going to show you how they have changed, because they will. Elmore, you have something to share with us on Mercury or anything else before we continue?
Yeah, Mercury is the messenger god. Well, some people know him as Thought or Hermes. You know what I'm saying? Mercury represents youth, early education. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, which rule the hands and any dualistic parts of the body, like the arms, the ears, the eyes, the nose, and the lips. Mercury always one sign behind the sun, or one sign behind, or one sign before the sun. It's like always close to the sun. So many degrees away, I ain't for certain which one, but Mercury represents information, our analytical skills, the way we pay attention to detail, the way we process information. Uh, is exalted in Virgo and it fall in Pisces, I think, yeah. And they said Hermes was the one that introduced astrology to the humans, what was considered the Lord of wisdom. Well, he was one of the people who introduced astrology, because they also say the Anunnaki or the fallen angels or the archangels introduced astrology to the human beings or mankind or humanity. And Mercury represents how clever you are, you know what I'm saying, your communication, how you like to communicate. It represents short trips, represent siblings, neighborhood, community, cousins, aunts, uncles, mobility, curiosity, early education. I think I already said that. And Mercury rules Gemini, so people with bad Mercury can have a lot of mental problems, not mental problems, but a lot of thoughts, like thoughts coming in rapidly, and they have to stay grounded, you know what I'm saying? So they won't be overwhelmed by so many thoughts. And that's about all I got on Mercury right now. Yeah.
Okay. Now some specifics according to man. Little info. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. Mercury is only a bit larger than Earth's moon. Its day side is scorched by the sun and can reach 840 degrees Fahrenheit. But on the night side, temperatures drop to the hundreds of degrees below freezing. Mercury has virtually no atmosphere to absorb meteor impacts. So its surface is pockmarked with craters, just like the moon. The discovery of Mercury is known to the ancients and visible to the naked eye. Mercury is named for the messenger of the Roman gods, and its orbit is 88 Earth days. And we are now moving forward to Venus. Now, while I'm reading scientifically, let's continue. Venus is the second planet from the sun, terribly hot, even hotter than Mercury. The atmosphere is toxic. The pressure at the surface would crush and kill you. Scientists describe Venus' situation as a runaway greenhouse effect. Its size and structure are similar to Earth. Venus's thick toxic atmosphere traps heat in a runaway greenhouse effect. Oddly, Venus flows, Venus spins slowly in the opposite direction of most planets. The Greeks believed Venus was two different objects, one in the morning sky and another in the evening, because it is often brighter than any other object in the sky, except for the sun and moon. Um, its discovery is known to the ancients, named for the Roman goddess of love and beauty, and its orbit is 225 Earth days. Let me see. Ramatev's not here. Elmore, you have something to share with Venus before I
Yeah,
discuss
Venus
it.
is the god of love and beauty. I mean, god of love and beauty. Venus rule relationship, rule social life, friendship, romance, marriage, uh, art, represent grace, represent our affections, represent fertility, uh, and it rule out over the kidneys, bladder, sexual organs, and it rules Taurus and Libra. It's exalted in Pisces and fall in Virgo. And Venus show how we appreciate, how we value things. You know what I'm saying? What's tangible, what we tangible have. You know what I'm saying? And the rest five senses. And it represents balance too, because it rule Libra, and it represents balance in friendships and relationships, partnerships, business partner, any type of relationship, right? Uh, Venus is what else? It ruled the second house and the seventh house. So Venus is our what we our talents, because second house rule talents. You can look at Venus for what kind of talent you have, right? And second house rules the throat. So if you got like good planets in the second house or a good aspect of Venus, you can be a singer. You know what I'm saying? Or if you have bad aspect, you can have what it called thyroid. So that thing that what it called. Well, infection in the throat or whatever. But overall, Venus is the oldest sister of the planets. That's about all I have on Venus. Till I think of something else.
Okay, that's cool. We be here. Now I'm going to look at this glyph for Venus sigil symbol. And yes, time talk. The information I shared actually came from the scientific stuff that I was reading. Actually came from the NASA website. So, you're on it. You're on it. We here now. Let's see. Looking at this glyph, as I've already discussed, let me remove my banner. Um, this circle represents Earth, and this right here is the cross, which is the church. This is Venus, symbolized here as before religion and its dominance on Earth. Also, as I've already mentioned, the glyphs change. So we're going to get into Venus shortly and how its glyph has been changed and affected over time. Right now, we're going to be looking at the Earth. And I know that this next part, yeah, this question right here came from a previous part of the series from the comment section, the audience. And the question was, why is the Earth glyph not in the birth chart? And I think we talked about this briefly in part one. I'm not sure. Elmore, you
Yeah,
want to talk
yeah, we
about the
did.
Earth? Okay.
Yeah, the Earth sign is what we know as astrologer is a part of fortune, the circle with the X with the cross in it, or X or whatever. But to me, really, I think Earth is the center of this astrology chart, and the planets revolve around us because we are Earth. We made of Mother Nature, right? So the planet evolve and revolve around us. That's why Earth isn't on the chart. That's just my opinion. Maybe some more advanced scholars can let me know or something. But from what I know, part of fortune is supposed to represent Earth, but part of fortune is an asteroid, so they can't represent Earth when Earth is a planet. So, in my opinion, I think Earth is the center of this wheel right here, where Carbon dioxide is right here with this red line, and all the planets revolve and evolve around us because we are made of the Earth.
Yeah, and I actually put that red line here so people can see more visually because it was just empty space in here and all the other lines for the chart. I purposely put that red line in there for the center purposes. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's see. Okay, so Ramutef Web and I, we had a presentation on Karmic Dynasty, and it is the men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and that is a presentation we did based on the book. And so, according to that presentation, Earth, which sits in between Mars and Venus, was the meeting place for the men of Mars and the women of Venus. And the Earth glyph, which we're going to look at now, is actually has the cross, Christianity, sitting right in the middle of it. Again, these glyphs is man-made. If this glyph was created before Christianity, which it definitely was, this shows right here in plain imagery their agenda to put Christianity and their Jesus and all things linked. When we are covering Christianity in here, we have some Bible scriptures as references. And we've also mentioned how there are different forms of astrology. So stay tuned. We definitely have more to share as we have already, according to how the Bible, all things related, Christianity and Jesus may or may not be linked to astrology. Again, the time capsule, the trap. The biggest religion is time. Elmore, you have anything to share?
Yeah, go back to the glyph for me. On the glyph itself look like a zodiac wheel because the zodiac wheel is divided into four parts. You got the ascendant,
Hmm.
descendant, MC. I'm gonna say yeah, ascendant, and I see at the bottom. Yeah, so it made up exactly like a chart. That's why I say we are Earth, of course. So I say we in the middle of the chart, and everything revolves around us. Because if you think about it, we have Earth signs. Like I'm gonna say, Earth is an element, and you have Earth signs which come from the Earth. That's what I think. Me personally, I think all the planet is on Earth. It's just part of a bigger landmass, extraterrestrial, what you want to call it, extra land. Extraterrestrial only mean extra land, not a alien or some shit like that. Not what Google telling you. Because if you just Google the word extra, then you Google the word terrestrial. Extra mean to add more, and terrestrial mean land on Earth. So if you put them together, that means extra land on Earth. What we haven't been explored. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But we are the center of this universe. I know that because we are walking stars. So I think the planet revolve and evolve around us.
Okay. And also, while we have Empress Lulu here, and you're speaking on extraterrestrial, in my preparation for today, the term word UFO was on my screen somewhere in like an advertisement or something, and so she wanted to know more about UFOs. The word extraterrestrial, of course, kept coming up, so I was explaining to her exactly what Elmore just said of the extra and what terrestrial is. Terra, Terra, as we know the Earth. So is extra earth. And yes, we appreciate you, Brother Elmore, for speaking on that. And you just confirmed from the masculine point of view what I just told her last night. So I
That's what's up.
appreciate you.
And UFO mean unidentified flying object, right? So that can be anything. That can be the government flying in some shit playing with our mind. Cause Tesla built the first UFO according to my research. So That
Mine
mean
too.
and common sense will tell you if they can shoot a UFO down, they got to have equivalent technology to shoot it down. That my common sense just tell me that. So I just don't believe everything the news say anyway. So you got to go a little deeper for me to believe it. But I use my common sense, and you can't shoot an anti-gravity vehicle down when the bullet going through gravity, or the missile or the rocket going through gravity. It don't make sense to me.
And from recent news, that's part of the news right now. UFOs congregating, accumulating, converging, and going at war with who? Like, how? What do you mean? Shoot down with what? And
Right. They must have a UFO shooting down a UFO. that
right,
that will only make sense. You ain't got
right,
a jet shooting down a UFO, bro. That ain't nah. But I
yeah,
digress.
yeah. Because if they here for a war, I'm chilling. I'm not concerned because they ain't here for me. I ain't trying to shoot them down.
Right, but like I said on one of my posts, the alien is not in the sky; they're on the ground. Ain't nothing in the sky but the dome, which us and the alien stuck in this motherfucker. And that's the goal to get up out of here. They probably trying to get out the same way we trying to get out, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
They ain't gonna be in the air, and then if they so advanced, they wouldn't need flying objects anyway. They probably can fly over here.
right. That's something else I said. What they need that for? It just is like a
That's what we
real
need, cause we dumb down in third dimension. That's what we
yes.
need, machineries and stuff to get around. But they
So
maybe do too, but I would imagine it'd be more advanced than ours.
exactly. Imagination. And in the holographic world where they can make up anything, it's clearly a holograph up there. I'm from my point of speaking of holograms, thank you. Goodness. Thank you. Holograms. I'm just like it's a whole duh moment. It's not that whole like Tesla, like you mentioned in UFOs, that's a whole space science, space nerd concept. I just can't roll with it. The beings I know that I'm sure exist don't need the little flying saucer. More advanced than that. Speaking in travel and manners, I think one of you mentioned in part one of sound. I think just travel and get the tunes ringing of the ears is what one of you mentioned in part one. The communication and everything can happen from a well advanced level because that's just our thinking and our mindset right here of far as ringing in the ears, and they don't actually have to show up in the physical to do damage. And the news will have you thinking the UFOs are hovering to do damage. There's a war looming.
Right. They want you in fear, but ain't nothing to fear. Fear is the lowest vibration to me. You know what I'm saying? Fear is the devil. So you don't want to fear nothing. Stay brave and stay in your energy. You know what I'm saying? But what I about to say about the UFOs? Yeah, usually when the news show you something, they trying to distract you from something else. What's really going on? You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I'm about to speak about the hologram. Yeah, the hologram. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole different another lecture. But the whole world is in the hologram. So who not to say what type of information the government got to manipulate the hologram? Let me just say that.
Okay. And speaking of the hologram and the atmosphere, Empress Lulu was asking me, I was discussing with her the planets and the order that they say the planets are in, and how we can remember the order that they say the planets are. So she what was the question about breathing you had?
Um, you can't breathe in space, so how can we breathe if off the planets in space, even Earth?
Okay, so if Earth is in space and they say there's no air, oxygen in space, then how can we breathe here on Earth, if the planet is in space?
That's a
So
good
I
question.
told her about the the atmosphere holding in the oxygen. And when Elmore, you just mentioned the dome, that's what made me remember her question from yesterday.
Right, right, right. We up under the dome, which you know what I'm saying. Nothing enters, nothing exits. So I think the only way you exit is through spiritual. But that's a good question. And we in waters. I think that what the oxygen is, just a more dense water. You know what I'm saying? A light dense water than what we you know what I'm saying like air, but we just can't see it. But we are inside some form of water, just like the womb. You know what I'm saying? The earth is a womb, and we inside this womb. We like red cells fighting against each other, killing one another off, so the earth can survive. You know, just like the body operates. So it's synonymous with the body, as above, so below. And
Virus.
right, right, right. That's a good question right there. She asked the type of question I asked when I was small.
Yeah, she was asking questions. I said, okay, we're gonna get you on the, because actually, you know what? In the comment section right now, I see like the same people commenting. A lot of people will watch and say nothing. I know that just alone from the number of views and the actual amount of people commenting. So she brings more of the Q&A to the platform today. And so that's why I have her here as well, because she brings in that interaction that will help us get to the people who don't want to ask the questions. For the people who have their children sitting here and they have the same questions, and the adult didn't have time to answer, but they got time to sit here and watch us. Peace to the babies. Peace to the babies. All right. So on this scientific notion, and Elmore was speaking on water. Who is it spoke on water? Elmore? Yeah. And then Time Talk is saying dome earth is a terrarium. Let's see here. So the earth is said to be a water world with 2/3 of the planet covered by ocean. It's the only world known to harbor life. Earth's atmosphere is rich in life sustaining nitrogen and oxygen. Um, let's see. So
Yeah.
on the other planets, it's got the discovery information, but for Earth, it don't have discovery information. But okay, Elmore, you about to say?
Yeah. Uh yeah, Earth is what I about to say about Earth. Oh yeah, the dome. I'm about to talk about the dome since she talking about dome Earth. Uh in the ancient model, the dome is over all the planets, right? So that means all the planets are under the same dome we up under, but it just levels and dimensions of it. But it's a dome on top of all of them, and we all on different levels. Like Earth is the third dimension. Then you go down or up according. I don't know which way it go up or down, but I know all the planets are under the same dome. So that would mean to me, common sense again, all us on the same dome, we on the same land. Or it's like a portal to get to the different planets, something like that. And from the discovery, they done found that we can go to different planets on land. You feel me? But I think they guarding the interests of every portal. That's why you got government officials at every portal. That's just my opinion. But according to ancient knowledge, yeah, everybody's under the same dome.
Ramotef Queb, welcome to the panel again. Are you here sharing at this time?
I talk about the dog. That's a good one. So yeah, I agree with the brother so much, and it's like it's even crazier because it's like the secretly the kabbalistic tree is the map to go through these freaking portals because they show you all through that thing. But we'll see it as the body, but it's also the body that can have that access because of that whole ability known as astral projection. But as far as that symbol that we're looking at, for me, that's the chart itself. Like when we always look for the earth glyph is that is the chart. by itself. Where am I supposed to go? Left, right.
And
But
also I have, hold on. What were you saying?
no, go ahead, go ahead.
And also, from what I have seen and heard recent, because I don't tune in to local news for my news, I tune into the people. I heard a brother, he had a video, a short on how Africa can be reached. You can get to Africa through the Grand Canyon, like how
And
nothing
the
is
Caribbeans.
say is that. What you saying, Ramata?
I said, and the Caribbean, because the Caribbean islands are a lot closer to Africa than what we think.
Right, I heard about that too.
And also, I've seen about the underground portals, and a lot of them, a good amount of them, are located in the on the grounds, the property of Disney, and that's why, like for example, the Cinderella's castle, it sits there on top of the portal to keep people from traveling through and going in the underground, the underworld.
Right, right, right.
And Elmore mentioned, as well as Empress Lulu, UFOs. And I lit up because one of my early presentations was on Tesla and his UFOs and how they were powered by our hair, our ether. They had an image of a white lady, blonde hair, blue eye, little pretty thing, and said that the real society grew their hair like to floor length or longer. And it is said that, what is her name? I can't think of her name right now. And but anyway, the head of the real society, I'm gonna look her up, and said that they wanted everyone to think that she was her and the real society, the ladies, were the reason, and the energy from their hair was what powered the UFOs of Tesla. There was also some Hitler association in there, but right now I'm gonna pull her up here. And so in my rebuttal of that presentation, I had shared how, and here she goes. I had shared how, first of all, that's not hair that they growing to the floor. It's called fur. Second of all, if there's going to be some hair used to power anything, it's going to naturally come from us, the ether. This is what powered those machines that Tesla had. But no, they're not gonna give us credit. They're not gonna let you know the strength of what you do. They gonna have people who's interested think that it was some white woman's fur that powered those flying saucers. They were identified apparently because they belong to Tesla. But on another note, here go her picture right now. So what I shared in my presentation was, in the world where we know of the women pilots who disappear, I shared the story of a woman pilot along with Amelia Earhart, because they had to have, I'm not even gonna go into that. But anyway, that long fur you see is not powered no machines. It would be the hair. So Betsy, her name was, I can't remember that lady's name right now, but I did the presentation. Let me look her up right quick. Bessie Coleman. And she had came up missing. She was known for all of her abilities. They had shows just for her. People, the white people, everybody would go see her at her show, and she do her stunts, her somersaults, all this stuff. They do all her art in the plane. And supposedly in her prime, she died while doing a practice stunt in the plane. Supposedly, as the pilot was turning upside down as she wanted, she looked over the plane without a seatbelt on and fell out the plane. She even went to school over in Europe to get, because that's where she could get acceptance to get her pilot license. Then she came back to the United States with her license that she couldn't get here. A woman who is skilled like that is not going to make a mistake, error like that. And as the aircraft is turning, she going to look over on the side without a seatbelt on and fall out. Then there was some mechanical error, the plane crashed, and the pilot died too. I mean, it's just a whole conspiracy thing. I say it was a cover-up story, and they used her and her skill to take her to Nigeria, to the training school, which was led by one of Hitler's, not Hitler, one of Europe's top women pilot, white women pilots. And along with them too, and Amelia Earhart, they went to that school. They went to Nigeria to them all-girls school. It's in their news. I'll share the PowerPoint with y'all. Contact me, I'll give it to you. It's in their news. And they went there because, again, with our ether, and you need some people to fuel some flying saucers, where you gonna get a bunch of little girls from with some ether to plug in to some flying saucers, to some aircrafts? They went to Nigeria. And they president then got into a union and all some other stuff with the people of Europe. I'm telling you, it was a big old story. Either way, that's my little spill on Tesla and UFOs. Elmore, and I done went off on a tangent. Where are we going now before we go back into the planets?
And also when it comes to that, to like give more, um, you know, um, added information. Everybody should know about that being or the woman that they found on in that spacecraft on the moon. And then when you look at her, it's like she had that, opening in her eye, in the sense as we would call the third eye. But you also look at her hair. But when it comes to piloting the craft that they spoke of, it's like they had weird functions. So when it comes to this whole, hair thing that we're just now talking about, that probably can open Pandora's box. Just that alone, about how that craft was able to be operated. But most will go with the mind in a sense. And then going back to the earth glyph, when you turn it to its side, it becomes that famous X-Men crest, right? But in astrology, that crest is called the part of fortune. And then when it comes to going back into the parts of the dome and things of that nature, that part of fortune is a very, very fortunate spot when it comes to what a person's looking for.
All right, Elmore.
You can go to the next. We can't hear you, George.
My bad, apologies. I appreciate you. Mars, the fourth planet from the sun, is cold, dusty place. The dust and iron oxide giving the planet its reddish cast. Mars shares similarities with Earth. It snows on Mars, etc., etc. And named for the Roman god of war, and its orbit is 687 Earth days. And that's the scientific, some background on there before we get into looking at the glyph of Mars and how it has changed. And if you're studying Western astrology, it's all changing. So what are you studying? Change. Kudos to you. Kudos to you. Anyone want to speak on Mars before I look at the glyphs? Before we look at the glyphs.
Yeah, I speak on it. Mars is the god of war. It rules Aries and the ancient ruler of Scorpio, which is the ruler of the first house and the eighth house. Mars is our ambition, our drive, our sense of our courage, our sense of self-assertion. Uh, it can govern the sexual organ too, because it represents Scorpio. Mars represent the blood. Mars represent uh information. So if you have a bad Mars or aspect, bad aspect of Mars, you can have inflammation on the body. And Mars is our ambition, what we strive, you know what I'm saying? How we able to strive our willpower, you know what I'm saying? Basically, that's our willpower. And Mars represents things like bullets, lead, knives, swords, any kind of sharp object, weapons. Represents like gunsmiths, people who work with guns, people who work with iron, people who work with metals. And Mars, yeah, the god of war, and it's a hot and dry sign. Is exalted in Capricorn and it fall in Cancer. That's it.
Ramutep Quib, sharing.
But when it comes to Mars, Mars is also represented as the when the brother said it himself, dealing with the Orisha known as Ogun. Ogun, the god of iron, the person who is basically the iron in our blood and the weapons that we use and the intelligence and the magic that we also display. Mars is the things that you take action to, whether they be good or bad. Mars also, again, as the brother said, is the very big persona of your ambitions, what a person is leading to, how they, you know, insert their confidence as much as how they use their ability to, how you say, circulate when it comes to dealing with uh, the ancient part of its ruler house when it comes to dealing with the eighth house as well. When it comes to the symbols that we're looking at, it's the the bastardized version of it. The symbol that they use for direction. So it's like, as I was stating beforehand, when it comes to the glyphs itself, the imagery or the secretness or esotericness of it, you have the circle and the arrow. We understand the circle is the soul. When you got that arrow, it's going to lead into what we're about to talk about pretty much in the next couple slides.
I want to say one more thing. Mars shows what kind of men women are into, or and it also can show how much sex they have. You know what I'm saying? Women and men.
Interesting. I need to look at the Mars in my chart. Now, and Elmore, you already had done a reading from me. I'm be contacted. I need to look at my Mars. I don't think we discussed that.
All right, I'll look at it for you.
All right, so here before, and we about to close out, y'all. We're gonna discuss Mars before we leave. Now, Mars has the circle, which some would say is feminine energy because it's rounded, curved, and also looked at here in my presentation as representing Earth. And as I've already stated before, I'm going to tell y'all today if you didn't know. Whenever you see an arrow in astrology, that represents the phallus. So with Elmore talking about men and sex, this the phallus right here. Anytime you see an arrow, it's represented by the phallus according to astrology, not me. So the sun, where I said it was a breast and a nipple in the glyph, that was all me. According to astrology teachings, the arrow is a penis. It's a phallus. Now, looking here at the phallus and its dominance over the feminine energy, and then how times change again, and then when we flip the glyph, the feminine energy is over and dominating the masculine energy. So sharing that here before we look further into more of Mars. Now, again, as I mentioned, and I'm going to read this here from you straight from bizlogo.com. Okay. And more on, we will be in the signs letter. So we definitely will be speaking on people who heard things such as they are Aries instead of a Taurus. Ramutef Web going to definitely take us into that. So again, we're about to wrap up part 2. We're going to look more into this phallus, but stay tuned because yes, we're going to be looking at, you thought you was an Aries, for example, you might just be a Taurus. Me, I thought I was a Sagittarius. I'm actually a Scorpio. Things change. It changes. I'm going to share more with y'all on how this all changes. Now, historically, the arrow was seen as a phallic symbol representing piercing and penetrating. In modern logos, the arrow usually denotes positive upward or outward movement, making it a great logo symbol in the investment, marketing, consulting, and communication sectors. Okay. Now, the Mars glyph here on the left, this is the ancient symbol of the cross of matter. Ramutef mentioned matter, dominating the circle of spirit. I think he also mentioned spirit. On the right, this is the modern phallic version. So here, it was once this, which is the Venus glyph upside down. So earlier when I mentioned Venus and how we would get back into speaking more on Venus, this is the how and why. The Mars glyph used to be the now Venus glyph upside down. So that's why I also start turning glyphs upside down. Now that we're here, I can speak on it without ruining the presentation for everyone further. And here it modern day has this phallic version. Ramutef Club, did I hear you coming in?
No, I was just saying it's the soul, not the spirit.
Okay, cool.
And again,
So,
it's vice versa. Again, see, this is Venus and this is Mars, so they like they vice versa the sun, inverted the sun. That's crazy.
Right. So moving forward to the Mars glyph and more information on the phallus. Here we have is saying a phallus is a penis, especially when erect, an object that resembles a penis or a mimetic image of an erect penis. In art history, a figure with an erect penis is described as ithophallic. Any object that symbolically or more precisely iconically resembles a penis may also be referred to as a phallus. However, such objects are more often referred to as being phallic. So for those of you who didn't know what phallic was, you thought I was playing saying penis, here goes some information. I wasn't playing it. Phallus means penis. Such symbols often represent fertility and cultural implications that are associated with the male sexual organ as well as the male orgasm. So more from Wikipedia on the phallus and the church, which holds the biggest religion of all time, which is time. This church in North America, a new religion, it centers on the worship of the phallus. It was founded in the 1980s in Montreal, Quebec. It has a following mainly among homosexual men in Canada and the United States. Semen is also treated with reverence, and its consumption, y'all listening around here? Okay. Consumption is an act of worship. Semen is esteemed as sacred because of its divine life-giving power, according to the Indonesian chronicles. And again, we are here speaking on the different types of astrology. The different types. We're not here to beat up Western astrology. We're here to show to you the falsehoods and bring you some information. So with Shariri L, she got that pen and paper out. She looking. Pay it. I need y'all to look at this. It's serious. This is my campaign to get y'all out this craziness. Now, also it goes on to say, according to the Indonesian chronicles, the prince gained kingly power from God by ingesting sperm from the phallus of the already dead sultan. This is how he got his powers. Feedback from the panel before I continue.
Well, one thing I can say is that from what you read, Mars and Venus meaning the same thing because the phallus represent fertility and Venus represent fertility. So they like one and the same sign, just I guess dualistic natures, one feminine, one masculine. That one don't come to the conclusion that it's only like four signs, cause like half of the sign mean the same thing, like Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Sun, Moon. You see what I'm going? All these like the same elemental planets, but I guess they have a dualistic side, what makes them have a twin nature.
Ramatel Queb.
Mm-hmm. He hit it right on the nose. It's that that part of that duality because when you put the two images together, right, it just shows you how much of the sacredness that our ancestors held with this particular combination of building life. So if you were to literally take Mars and Venus and put them on top of each other, they will only have the two souls, one on the top, one on the bottom, and that cross is in the middle, just representing how our souls combine into that matter, which creates, our children, things of that nature. But when you start to put that same glyph of what it is today, and you see how Venus is trying to connect, but when you look at the symbol of Mars now, it's going elsewhere. It's not trying to connect like it used to. So when it comes to our nowadays society and things of that nature, and we're just going over all over the place, as we stated earlier, those glyphs hold a lot of energy. And when you start to put these glyphs together and try to see what the story is or what the power that comes from it, you start to understand a lot more of how much we are controlled under these particular energy signatures.
Right. And you said the perfect word, bro. Control. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. Well, that's what I come to the conclusion of, because the planets in transit represent basically our future. And I'm trying to see, can we master the planet, so whatever, or make them work in our favor? But I don't think so, because if that were the case, it wouldn't be a simulation.
Yeah, my conclusion with that is like I wanted to do the whole teach a little lesson in the realm of magic when it comes to dealing with these planets. A lot of people are aware or maybe not aware of what is called a magic square or magic circle. When it comes to that question that you presented, that is one of the forms of using those planets for your benefit, but most people use it for destruction.
Right, right, right. Uh, Another reason why I say that, because the planets make up they govern our body parts. They govern our body part, they govern our mental, and they govern our subconscious. So I think it's unavoidable to be like the planets don't affect me. Yes, they do. The planets affect everything in nature. You know what I'm saying? And I think like you said, you can use the magic square, and you can use like the Vedic the Vedas. They use they do mantras to the planets and stuff, like, you know what I'm saying, rituals and meditation toward the planet. So I think we can use it towards our benefit and to be successful. But I think it's unavoidable. You know what I'm saying? Like what they call it, fate or simulation.
I agree. And it's like, for me myself, it's that part of, you know, knowing the fate and altering it, because there's always a way to alter anything, rearrange, change, and evolve past it. It's just that one has to literally sit down with themselves and truly look themselves in the mirror. So it's like the other part. I wish oh man, I wish I wasn't driving, because there's like, I would use the anime reference. So there's a anime known as Naruto, right? And then what I wanted people to imagine, I can't remember who that character was with the mask that was using the ice walls and things of that nature. But that was the vision that I wanted people to kind of visualize. You're that person that's in the center, and you're surrounded by these ice wall mirrors. Your ice wall mirrors is every house that you're dealing with when it comes to your own personal chart. These planets can either be, the objects that be thrown from these glasses, or it's something that tells you about yourself in a very distinct way. But yeah, that scene right there, that right there, it's like looking at yourself in many ways. But in this case, it was used for a stealth attack, for example. So it's like basically learning how to get rid of certain aspects of yourself. And then when we get to aspects, that's going to be even more fun, because that's base aspects is like dealing with tarot and magic and things of that other nature. But in this case, it's like as we go along, just use your imagination to get past a lot of these things, so we can start to upgrade ourselves in a better way.
Right, right. I think the planets affect you according to your awareness, right? I think like the more we're aware
Right.
of the planet, the less damage it'll have on us, and the more advantage we'll have with the planet. Like, and that comes with self awareness. The more you know yourself, and the more you know the planets. Uh, yeah, I think when we become self aware, how everybody think Saturn is so bad and so destructive and so negative, but if you're on a higher level of awareness, you can use Saturn to your advantage. No planet is bad or good; it's just vibration and frequency that you're on according to the time of the transit.
Correct. And just like what everybody sees, the retrogrades and things of that nature, and they're always in a negative light. It's up to you, as a brother said, it's up to your awareness. Because once you're aware of how that energy used to play on you, those retrogrades can aid you like it ain't nothing. Because it's like, for me, for the past, we could say 7 years, basically like 7 years ago, me and this understanding about retrogrades, it was all based on fear. Because that's all you hear is about this, hooking up with exes and things of that nature. And it's just like, as you keep diving into and start understanding that energy a lot more, it becomes more benevolent versus malevolent.
Right, right, right. And you don't want to be in fear because if you're in fear, when the retrograde come, it's gonna bring fearful things. So that's, we can move to the next subject.
All right, so I just also wanted to share, since we're talking about relationships and awesome other things, it is very difficult to speak on the phallus without also speaking of the testicles. So the testicles won't be covered tonight, but I promise you, I'm going to be talking about them. So stay tuned to this series. Um, so looking at this display in the Scandinavian Museum, well, ancient Scandinavia. This museum is based on information from the Norse god, a phallic deity representing male fertility and love. Elmore spoke on the fertility. And also, we're looking at the short story describing a family of Norwegians worshiping a preserved horse penis, and some image stones, such as the store of hammers and Tangle-Garda stones, were phallic shaped. So this here is the display in the museum, and everything in these are all phalluses from some creature and being. There's a painting here, phalluses out and on the walls and displays. And any information from the panel before moving forward to
Can you hear me?
Mars. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, going back into that particular thing. So we're gonna go in time real quick. We're gonna use the tomorrow's date on the Gregorian, Friday, right? Friday Frigga, Venus. But Friday or Frigga is basically what this is all about. So it's like taking the energy that is in this particular realm, especially with them, that Friday, that word Friday is a very big, word to that gets displayed. That's like, it's disguised for Venus. Its true nature is Venus, but at the same time, the energy that they insert in our brains, in our being, that Frigga energy, that Roman goddess, in a sense, or gods, that deal with this particular, um, how you say, um, heresy, or not even heresy, but it's just basically, trying to think of a word that describes just Hellenized. There we go.
Elmore.
Uh, yeah. If you show the glimpse one more time, if you pull the arrow down to the middle and straighten them out, that'll be the same sign. It'll be two Mars. Or if you pull the cross up and make it to an
Mm,
arrow, it'll be two Mars or two Venus. So I think
right.
they basically represent the same thing, but I think one is male, one female, the phallic and the vagina, I guess. And
Mm.
he said Friday is associated with Venus, and Venus represent money, and most people get paid on Fridays.
And as they say, the freaks come out at night on Fridays as well. It's just
What?
that whole energy of Mars.
Right. Freaks come out at night, and like more violent shit happen on the weekend for real, on Fridays and Saturdays. Well, we know Saturday is Saturday, but it can be Friday can be a Mars day too, like you said, because they dualistic.
So here we're looking at gender glyphs. So when it comes to transgenders having a symbol, the hermaphrodites having a symbol, all of these, we are looking at like the base of it is the once before Mars symbol, which is now Venus, and the Mars symbol. We're looking at some Mercury in here, but these are the gender glyphs as it says here below. So as people are using these symbols, just look at the transition of where they're going in the ever-changing world, because these things are man-made. And that's my piece for this evening, and all I have to share. Anyone like to share any words before we leave? And we look forward to presenting to you episode 3 of this series, Astrology Resurgence.
Well, I'm gonna close out saying this: as above, so below, as within, so without. The more we get to know the stars, the more we get to know ourselves. The more we get to know ourselves, the more we get to know the stars. Vice versa. And I come to the conclusion through recent research and the conclude that mythology is real, you know what I'm saying? But they want to make it seem like it's a fairy tale. And I kind of understand why, but I got to do further research on it. Because if you look in the sky, if we up under a dome, right, and with all the lights and electricity on Earth, we looking at the lights reflecting off the dome. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. But then I thought about what we seeing when we look in the telescope. Well, I was thinking like maybe we're just beams of light. But that's for another discussion. But that's just something to keep your mind open. But I'm gonna try to in another presentation where we can relate the planet to actual people on Earth. So I think that'll be very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Especially for the advanced astrologers. And if you want to contact me, this is your boy Elmo, the University Humanitarian. You already know. You can hit me up on Gmail, yoshimore918@gmail.com. Or you can call me, or you can go search me on YouTube at Elmo, the University Humanitarian. Peace out. Yes, sir.
Ramutep.
Again, this is Ramatef Web. I'm Ramatef Web. I'm new Ramatef Web. I'm a practitioner of divinations. You can find me on Facebook as Ramatef Web. You can find me on Instagram as Ramatef_Web. You can also email me at maatraya.org for more information. Check out our website as well. My closing statement is just like the more we go deeper into these particular deities, it's just a recap. Even though I wasn't there for like Mercury and Venus, so it's like when it comes to those deities of Mercury and Venus, you got Mercury, which represents I'm dealing with the Orisha pantheon. So you have Mercury who represents Eshu. You have Venus who represents Oshun, but also not just Oshun. It also represents uh, Obanani as well, or Oba. When it comes to these deities and getting more in depth with these planets, the best way that I've learned to really connect to a person's chart and things of that nature is understanding what these deities are, who these deities are, what they're giving, and what they're seeing. Like, for example, Mercury just represents just the mind. When it comes to Venus, it's just basically the heart. When it comes to Mars, like I was saying, it's the actions that you take, whether they be good or bad. When it comes to the sun, it's just representing the soul. But when you get to those whole esoteric parts of the symbols, they also give more to the story, especially when you start to deal with the tarot aspects of these deities slash planets and these zodiac slash constellation signs. And I enjoy this broadcast. I appreciate everyone. Peace.
And on behalf of Moonfox, I am sharing her information here. Again, her about her is spoken to you by her father. Gratitude.
Bye. At the Moonfox shop, you will spot new products launching as Moonfox creates them, as well as new products from her friendly merchant club. Join the Moonfox merchant club today and have your products listed in Moonfox shop. Everyone comes here to shop for their phases in their life. Which Frosty product will you add to your cart? Moonfox Tooth Care or her Perfect Vanilla Extract? Or stock up on her other products? Browse and shop. Also join the Moonfox email club for promos, events, and more. And always have a Moonfox kind of day. Thank you. Bye.
And I am here today in my Ishram capacity, sharing with you all some of my knowledge and my growth on the astrology path. It started about 4 years ago. So I've learned a lot. I look forward to looking more. I definitely learned a lot from the panelists, El Moore and Ramutef Queb, who were at one time communicating with me from the audience as much and well as most of you are today. So I definitely appreciate all feedback from all of you. As Elmore has also spoken of us being beings of light, that is a message that I shared in the intro from the movie, the beginning of this episode of the movie 2:22, as in the time, 2 hours 22 minutes, the time. Um, Also, Elmore spoke on planets being the people on the earth, and I definitely think we'll be looking into that to be sharing more of, as I prompted everyone to do, be aware of the movie. We have watched it on the panel, and we will be using that movie 2:22 as a resource throughout this series. Um, I think that's all I wanted to share this evening. I appreciate you all being here with me, and I appreciate spending my time and speaking to the audience and followers and those who view El Moore through his Facebook page and Ramutef Kweb through his Facebook page, YouTube channels, as well as Abiel Ben Levy L on his Tribe Up 777999 YouTube channel. Recently updated, and I definitely enjoy always speaking to my Karmic Dynasty audience. And I look forward to seeing you all definitely next time. Share with us your comments, questions, concerns. We will have the feedback here. And peace. Good evening to you all. They can't see you now. Come on in here. You got to sit down. Okay, well, they can't see your fingers. All right, either way, we out of here. Peace, y'all.